guys, welcome to Doc and Bean.
I'm Doc, she's B.
And we are a traveling couple that brings you exclusive interviews, the latest tip, tricks, and travel information. Today we are hanging out with a duo behind Roaming the World with You. They're based in Brooklyn, New York, juggle full-time 9 to 5 jobs while passionately sharing their adventures with us. Join us as we dive into their journey. Started about 7 years ago to make traveling intentional, and they want to inspire you to do the same. So, welcome, Sean and Christina.
All right.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, we're in New York, so it's 8 o'clock here after work, and we're really excited to be here and talk to you both.
Okay. All right.
Nice. We're nice to have. It's good to have you guys here as well.
All right. So let's get right to it. You both have 9 to 5 jobs, but you've been all over the world. We've seen the videos. You've been everywhere, but you have 9 to 5 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do
So one of the things, so how I started traveling was that I decided that for my birthday, every single year, how I was going to celebrate myself was that I was going to go to a new country.
it?
And so I think that started around 10 years ago. So before I met Sean, and then when we got into a relationship in around September, my birthday's in December. And so one of the first big things we did as a couple was to go on a cruise to the Bahamas.
Mhm.
And ever since then, I've just been dragging him along on these trips. Um, I would never probably be able to convince him to like quit his full-time job to travel full-time. So
Mhm.
that's another reason I also still work full-time because he insists on working full-time. But we are also luckily enough, we know that in the United States, the average PTO is very, very low. We have very generous paid time off policies at the places that we work. So we get more than the average American to be able to use all our paid time off to travel. And that's what we use it for. We rarely take any vacation or paid time off to do anything else besides hop on an airplane.
Yep. And I mean, I'm still like, I have a max of 220 sick days. I don't ever use my sick days. It's like, I still have all those to burn. But even with as much travel as we do, I'm still almost maxing out on my vacation days. So I'm trying to actually spend them. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first trip, you said the first trip was the Bahamas. It was a cruise. How did you like that?
I had actually been on a cruise before, a bigger cruise. It was a 7-day cruise. And so we did it was like a quick little like 3-night cruise, the one that leaves from, I think it was a Miami or Fort
Yeah,
Lauderdale.
it was my
Yeah, and then it goes to the Bahamas and then it comes right back. So that was like a little testing of the waters since it was the beginning of our relationship. For me, it wasn't the best because I get very motion sickness, like everything from planes to trains to buses to boats. And there was a storm, so I was sick the entire cruise. And so for me, it wasn't that good.
It was great for me, but I tried to console her. And I mean, it was actually like a storm. So like even I was getting it a little bit. And then like, what was it like? You had like all sorts of like little solutions for for your seasickness, like the what was it called? The thing that you put on your ear.
Yeah, I had
And
the
like all
bracelets,
this
the
stuff.
medicine,
Yeah.
the ginger,
Yeah.
the drops.
All of it wasn't enough.
Yeah, so it didn't work. But I knew that was, it was because of a storm. I don't usually get sick on cruises. I've been on a cruise since then. And I also like, one of the things, like I can't control my body. Like it's not my fault that I get motion sickness. And so I still do things. Like I still go on boats, like in the ocean. I still fly. I still get on trains and buses. And because I'm just not going to let it stop me just because I can't control it. Like it's not my fault.
Yeah, like
Same.
we're doing a lot of road trips this year, and she's been a trooper through each one of them. So, and I try to drive smooth so it doesn't get so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because
So
even
do you guys know how many countries you've been to? Because I'm looking at your videos, and you guys seems like you've been to almost every continent.
no, so we haven't
We're trying.
been. been to Australia and Antarctica.
Mm.
I think those are the two.
Well, South America for me.
Oh,
You've been to South
I've
America.
been to South America.
Yeah.
He hasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been to 5 out of the 7.
Yeah. But we're trying to hit them all. I mean, we also we're thinking of little checklist goals that we could hit, all the world wonders that we could possibly get to.
All of the Caribbean countries.
Yeah.
That's a big one for us. But no, we haven't been to all of the continents. I don't know how many countries we've been to. 18 maybe?
We were keeping a list,
Yeah.
And then it was like if we don't update it every month, we completely lose track.
Yeah.
So now we're a little bit behind. Actually, you could kind of see the map behind us was when we first moved in here. That was basically all the places that we've been. Now it's a lot more filled in.
Yeah.
So
because fun fact, I've been to countries in Sean.
Yeah, I exclusively just went to Barbados every single year that I could, and that was the only place besides Florida that I had been to for the longest time. But now it's
just there too, right?
Yeah.
So Sean's family is from Barbados.
Okay.
And so we went to visit his family and have a little small vacation.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was a good time too. It was actually a very needed time because there's been a lot of things going on in my family, and it was a chaos at one point. So we went down there just to spend time with them when it was calm and everything had settled, and the family's doing great. So good to see.
Well, what do you guys, for the people listening this as well, what do they do? What do you guys do that even give you this flexibility, or is it remote, or what do you guys do?
So I work in public health and nonprofit. And so I job hop a little bit. But essentially I work for nonprofits doing public health trainings for whether that is providers who want to provide better patient care or working with young people. A recent role I had was working in the community before COVID, going out into community and having conversations around what sexual violence looks like for specific communities and how we can intervene in our roles. For example, I would go into nightlife spaces and train bartenders and bouncers and servers, what violence looks like in bars and clubs and spaces like that, and what they can do to prevent it. Because we know that happens so much in those spaces. And I've worked with young people and with different communities as well to just have those conversations around violence prevention, healthy relationships, sexual reproductive health, and things like that. And so those tend to come with average paid time off, but I still know that it's more than people I know who are security guards and they get 5 days a whole for the year, which is ridiculous. And so it's definitely a privilege based on U.S. standards to have as much paid time off as I do, but compared to other countries that get a minimum of 30 days, it's really my 2 weeks is really nothing.
Right.
Yeah, and I develop websites, both professionally and freelance. So my time is actually thanks to the place that I work, my time is very, very good. So I'm privileged too, and I found a good crew that I work with that I really like. So I don't want to give that up for anything, and that's part of the reason I don't want to leave this job for anything. But yeah, it's very important to me to have a good work-life balance. So it's a very key thing, and I'm glad I'm able to travel, but I still get nervous every single time. I'm still like, oh my God, this is gonna cost so much. Oh no.
Guys, budget, since you work, you have bills, you juggle everything. How do you budget and plan your trips?
So this is things that we just both don't do. For example, I know there's things I no longer pay for, like nails and getting my hair done. There's just things that I've learned to do myself, especially like my hair is very expensive to get anything like to get your hair braided here in New York is like $300.
Yeah.
And so like cutting out things that we've learned to do ourselves. Sean cuts his own hair, things like that is definitely a big thing, especially here, and we live in a very expensive city, New York.
Mhm.
Other things that have cut down, we've cut down our expenses in general, and then I think we just don't like this. We don't have kids. Like that's a big factor. Like we have additional amount of money we save for traveling. We also like I do what everyone else tends to do when they say this is that I use Google Flights to track flights. I don't necessarily like obviously because we have to travel on our vacation days. We try to travel over the holidays, but we try to choose cheaper flights. But sometimes I just want to go someplace, and I don't have time to because I have to work. I don't have the time to just be able to choose a random date. I do have to travel during certain times. And so I do track the flights and cross my fingers and hope I can get it at the cheapest possible price. What else? Oh, so we also are, I don't know if there's a term for it, but we're like moderate price travelers. Like we're not like budget travelers. We're not luxury travelers. We're like in the middle.
Yeah.
And how we make sure we stay in the middle is that if we do a longer trip, say 10 days to 2 weeks, we'll stay at a hostel for the first 7 to 8 days, get a private room in a hostel because it's cheaper, and then we'll ball out and get like a really nice hotel for like the last 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah, I think the best example of that was probably our first trip to Thailand, and it was literally we went to a shack basically the first night, and I mean, but mind you, this was on Khao Sak International Park, so it's very nice. But we were basically sleeping on a wooden like
Sean was terrified.
Oh yeah, all I heard was like spiders and like monkeys going through the forest, and I was just like and then by the end of the trip we were in this luxury place in Phuket, and we're just like, I was amazed. I had never to this day I don't think I've gotten that level of service and like comfort. Like it was amazing. Vietnam I don't think.
Okay.
I mean the lake was pretty good. We had a boat in Vietnam that was a very nice luxury cruise, and it was like that was phenomenal too. They're close. But that first one is like blew my mind. We had our own private pool.
Yeah.
It was a villa. They would drive up to us with a golf cart and like give us whatever we wanted and take us wherever we wanted to go. And it was.
What's the name of that hotel?
We could look it up.
Yeah.
It was in Phuket. What's the name of Phuket?
Because people would want that luxury, right?
Yeah, right.
Like it was up a hill, so like they would say, "Oh, get in the golf cart and we'll drive you to your room." And Sean was like, "No, we can walk.
Yeah.
I'm like, get in the golf cart.
I have a video of it somewhere, but it is like, oh.
Yeah. So I would say, we cut on things. We do a lot of DIYs to like cut down on unnecessary expenses. Well, it's necessary for me to do my hair done, but like I don't have to pay for it. And then we budget on the trip as well. Also, I would say that helps us, even though we're foodies, we love to eat, we love to try different foods. We'll eat street food every single day for every single meal.
Yeah.
We are lucky enough, and I'll knock on every piece of wood, that we don't have any food issues, like no allergies, no like gluten-free. We don't have any of those like dietary restrictions. And so it really allows us to be able to eat anything and really eat anywhere too. So that cuts down on prices when you're traveling internationally to eat street food.
Yeah. Although the body still does react to the food. So sometimes we got to think like, oh, maybe we'll dial it back a little. But
So do you have a specific budget on traveling, and how long and what place, or does the budget change, fluctuate depending on the place?
Yeah, it definitely changes depending on the place, because some places naturally are more expensive, right? Like when we spent a week in Morocco, and also the reason we're going, right? So like when we spent a week in Morocco, it was very expensive because we were celebrating our honeymoon, and so we got a private driver. Like we went all out because we knew we probably would never do that ever again unless we somehow come into a lot of money. But like and other countries are significantly cheaper. Like Vietnam is even cheaper than Thailand, and so how much we could spend per day was more, even though we spent less because it's a cheaper country. Versus if we go to Barbados, it's very expensive. Or what's another like more expensive place, like Europe or other places. So we don't necessarily like set a budget. I do like when we went to Japan, because I was anticipating Japan to be like New York prices from what I had heard in the past. I set a budget of like maybe like $100 together per night for a hotel. And we were able to meet that and still stay in really decent places. So it really just depends on the country.
Yeah.
And how many trips we plan for the year.
How many trips do you guys usually plan, like working a 9 to 5 a year? How many trips do you take in a year?
I mean, I think it varies a little bit. It's at least 6 a year,
at least 6. Yeah. Sometimes I travel for work and I convince Sean to come along. And so you can count those or not, especially if it's new to us, like destinations. But yeah, I would say Sean travels at least 6. I still go on solo trips, so I travel a little bit more even outside of work. Like I'm going to Belize in a few days. And where else did I go?
Recently? Well, there was the short trip to Maryland.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, like
a trip by yourself, like because I remember I saw one episode where Sean left and you stayed there and you were like, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. How was that being solo by yourself in Thailand?
I love traveling by myself. It's very interesting being married, having a partner, and people have a lot of opinions about the fact that I travel by myself and like I'm leaving Sean, like he's not a human, and like can take care of himself. But so Sean stayed for 2 weeks. So I traveled for 30 days to celebrate my 35th birthday. It was kind of like a payback to myself because I never got to travel abroad during college years because I had to work and like all this other stuff. So I gifted myself 30 days of travel to celebrate my birthday. And so we went to Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand. Sean left, and then I spent 2 weeks in Thailand solo. So about a week in Chiang Mai in the north, and then I went down to Phuket, and then I spent like a day or two in Singapore. So yeah, I love it. I think
people treat you differently when you do that.
I'm approached way more when I'm by myself. I think there's this level of like you're more approachable, or people think you're sad and lonely. I don't know what the reason is, but so I meet more people. I make more like associates or like a friend, like social media friends that we connect later on. I meet people for dinner, like on excursions, and so I really love being solo.
Yeah, and it's not like we're not capable of making couple friends too while we're together, but it's a different thing in general. People are like much less likely to approach.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Solo trips sometimes.
I mean, I take small solo trips, very small solo trips, like a weekend, just because I still get nervous, when I'm gonna take off. I'm like, I need that little extra push from Christina sometimes to take more than a couple days.
Yeah, like when he said he's all about work-life balance, I don't believe in that. Like I don't like I work so that I can have money because I have to, but like if I had a choice, I wouldn't. I would do something, I don't know, I'll go hug pandas or something. Like I wouldn't. And I don't believe that. Like I think life is more important than work, even though I work. So we're different in that. And that's why he also has a lot of paid time off because he never took any before he met me and his accrues. So it doesn't run out at the end of the year. He can just keep rolling it over and over and over.
Right. And then the pandemic was a reset in itself too. So that was an adjustment period that left us with a lot of days at the end of it too. So yeah.
So do you think, or would you live outside of the United States? All the places you've been to, which one or which place or places would you live?
Okay,
Yeah.
my answer is yes.
Yeah.
Sean, what's
Uh-huh.
your answer?
My answer is maybe. I don't know. I think. um, I have a couple like I fell in love with Japan. I
Mhm.
really like Japan. I like the culture. I like, the vibe generally of even from cities to Kyoto to Hiroshima. Like I just like it all. So
Mhm.
I could see myself adjusting. The language would be tough,
Mhm.
but I could see myself adjusting. And then other than that, maybe Canada because
Canada.
I like Canada too, but it's way more expensive than an Asian country. But yeah,
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I 100% would like to move outside of the country, live outside of the country.
and then you have a short list.
Um, Today, Christina would want to live in either Chiang Mai. I really loved Vietnam, and El Salvador as well. But if you asked me in like a year, I've been to more places, and maybe something else would have taken
Mhm.
those spots. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to ask your favorite places you ever been to, and after that, I want you to tell me the worst. But tell me the best.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
Oh
Okay.
man, do we have to dog the country out like that? I'll go
Favorite.
first. I mean I just said my favorite's Japan. I mean
Okay.
uh purely emotional, purely no analytical thing for that. I've just always been a fan of like anime and I mean even more than
Mhm.
that, just culture like samurai type things like temples. I loved the temples in
Yeah.
Japan.
Mhm.
Um, and I like the style of home, the architecture, everything about Japan I love. So
What about you? The country you didn't like the most?
I don't
The
want to
country you liked the least.
I don't want to say that there's a bad country.
It's not
I
about
mean,
that. It's
I
about
mean,
you
like
like this.
I think that there's the one that I'm probably least comfortable with right now is I can't even say it's Mexico. Like
Really?
Tulum.
Mm.
Tulum was very nice,
Was it
but I'm not that
underwhelming, I
comfortable.
guess? Is that a
I'm sorry.
better underwhelming?
Yes.
See,
Hey,
I cleaned it up. I cleaned it up.
it's an adjustment.
Yeah.
Um, like just things in general in that area for me, uh, was different. But I still had a great time. I mean, I always have a great time every time
Mhm.
I travel.
Yeah.
So especially with Christina.
Yeah.
So
Because I'm the planner.
You make stuff happen.
the travel prince.
Yeah, he's the travel prince. Like all he
Okay.
has to do is show up and put in his time.
But we do have meetings and we do talk about these things. We're dramatizing a little bit, but she is the bulk of
Yeah.
the force behind.
For me, like my gut response is Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Mhm.
I've been there 3 times, twice. Wait, did I go the first time?
3 times. Yeah, 3 times. Because
3 times.
once without me.
Yeah. So
Once,
I've been there
yeah.
3 times, and I really love it. The pace, I mean, the weather's not my favorite. It's so hot, but it's okay. And the food and everything. It has my favorite dish in the whole world, cow soy. So that
Mhm.
pushed it to the top. So I guess the next country I find that has my favorite dish in the whole world, it may take its place. And then the least favorite place I would say I've traveled, I would say Argentina, Buenos Aires,
Mhm.
Argentina to be
Yeah.
specific. I went with a friend
Mhm.
before I met Sean, and it was like the men, would be like, oh, like give me a kiss, and and like it was just it. They showed their colors around like the history with like racism and everything, and I
Mhm.
never felt that. And like there's a level of curiosity I've gotten in countries. Like people wanted to take pictures with me, people sneaking to take pictures with me, but like this was overt. It was the only time I've ever like felt uncomfortable to the point me and my friend had to leave. So that in itself, I wouldn't go back. And then like Paris, France, I do not like Paris, France.
Oh yeah, you don't.
No, I
Yeah.
do not like Paris.
It's
Why?
expensive.
Why?
It was another country where, so I went with my sister and my cousin, and it was another country where we weren't let into places, and I didn't know if it was because we were American or because we were black. And
Yeah.
it's and having that feeling to have to be like, oh, why are you not letting us in? And you letting the people behind us in, and we don't know what the reason it is. So that in itself. Now I haven't seen all of France, so I'm not going to say France as a country, but like, and same thing with Argentina, but those two cities, yeah.
Yeah. I would also say I have a not great entrance into Portugal because we went right after Morocco. And there was like this weird culture shock thing that happened to us because we kind of adjusted to Morocco. And when we got to Portugal, it's like, oh, European prices, right. Oh, all this crazy structure and stuff that we have to go through. Like, oh, that's right, we're in Europe again. Oh, like so.
I mean, I feel that when I land in JFK.
Yeah, right. As soon as you get back, like Morocco was such a wildly different experience that it just didn't give Portugal a fair shot.
But okay. The reason that is, we were in Morocco during the soccer. What's that game?
Oh, the World Cup.
The World.
Yeah.
Is it called the World Cup? With the
yeah. And that was the farthest they had made it to the World Cup.
Yeah, it was the furthest they have ever made it to the World Cup. So like the level of excitement and the celebration in the streets, and like the fact that what surprised me was the amount of women who were in the streets celebrating and like leading the celebration and the charges in the street. I was very shocked by that because of the culture of the country, and it was just so beautiful to see. Like we were getting hammam. We were in the hammam getting like a massage and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you could hear, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like cheering silently because they're working.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I think Morocco won.
And they did. The streets were ablaze. They went out that night, and it was like the whole country was just like,
yeah,
World Cup.
Yeah.
So there was no topping that. We went to Portugal.
And I went to rainy Portugal. So. Even though I did enjoy it.
And we also had this amazing personal driver. Shout out Maju. He was like, I mean, that's something that is something that we don't normally do. But it's a real experience when you have a driver for an extended period of time and you get to know them. Like we understood that like his family lived kind of far away. He doesn't get to see them. He just had a baby. Like, and we were understanding like all the things with the people that he knows, and people respected him. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Yeah. And he was the nicest, kindest man that I've met in some time. So
nice. So the places you've been to, because we always like think of language barriers, right? So being in Asia, then being in Africa, and being in, Central and South America, which one you think was like the hardest to navigate speaking English, unless you speak like Spanish, but which one was the hardest to navigate, you would say?
Yeah, I'm not proficient in any language. I know a little bit of French. I know a little bit of Spanish. We try to learn some choice words for every country.
Yeah.
So that helps us a lot. Greetings, how much, things like that.
Is that delicious?
Thank you is very important. In Japan, sorry is huge.
Yeah.
So learning some basic words always helps us out.
Yeah.
But a lot of countries speak English really well too.
Yeah.
But there's a couple countries that are not so much.
So I would say, so when people ask, because people do ask me like, oh, like how do you get around? Like people don't speak English, and I say like most people that you'll find somebody who speaks English. Like it's a privilege to be able to speak English because the street signs are in like the local language and in English. Okay. They want to speak English with you too because of tourism and like because it's just like the currency. It's the language of like the world, like it's the business language of it's language of the world. So being able to speak English puts you in a position to be able to get around. But I would say the hardest place that I had trouble getting around was Seoul, was South Korea.
Oh yes.
It was difficult because Well, Google Maps doesn't work there. Apple, like you have to download a very specific app for navigation there. If you try to use Google Apps, it'll have you walking through buildings. Yeah, and then you have to order like a cab. Like the app still work, but you have to know the name of the place in Korean, and be able to copy and paste it into the app to get where you want to go. So like navigating that place, that was probably the most difficult thing. But in 2024, there's Google Translate. So that's we use that sometimes, but I think I could say like 90% of the time you could find English. Like the menus are in Thai in English. The menus are in this in English. Like there's always I feel like I've always had English. There's English available, and then it makes me think sometimes when people come from other countries, like if they come from like India or like a Spanish speaking country, like where they don't know English, you're not gonna see like Thai Spanish translations. It's just not out there. I've never seen it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to
Food.
Oh no.
We love it.
Let's go. I know. About our bellies.
Your favorite food in what country? Also, your least. I gotta keep it balanced.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so you went first last time.
What
Okay, my favorite food is khao soi in Thailand, but I feel like I have to give another one. Banh mi's in Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how can you not?
They have
so many. Oh my gosh, so many.
We ate a banh mi every single day.
They had a bacon, egg, and cheese banh mi, and as New Yorkers, that hit us.
Yes. I was like, this is better than the bodega. Like it was so good. So I would say that
I think every day.
Every day we had a banh mi every
Sometimes 2 or
single
3
day.
times a day.
And my least favorite. Okay, my least favorite. We tried balut in.
Hold on.
We were terrified.
Everybody's response. Everybody has the same response.
Oh, in the Philippines. Did you try in the Philippines?
No, we haven't been to the Philippines yet.
So where did you try in what country?
In Vietnam.
In Vietnam. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to explain
You have to explain what balut. Explain to me.
Put up a picture. Balut. So we tried it, 2 different variations of it. So we tried the mild version, which was quail. Yeah, I think it was quail.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tried the duck one, like a few days later. And so balut, for y'all who don't know, is a fertilized duck egg. So it's basically like a boiled egg, and it still has the duck, it's like the baby duck inside. So you may you never know what you're gonna get. So like like you could have a more fully formed baby duck. It can have just a little pieces. It can have feathers. It can have a beak.
It can have a beak.
Yeah.
And so we want to
already have a beak.
Because one thing, we love food tours.
Right.
It's a great opportunity to taste the country, like taste small like dishes of the country, without having to commit to a full dish that you may not like.
Right.
And then you get a little bit of history usually too, because the tour guide would give some history. And so we were on a tour. I'm not sure if it was part of it. We always ask like, oh, could you give us something that most tourists wouldn't eat and like you love and things like that? And so that's where he took us. And so we got this. It's actually on our YouTube channel. And we got this duck. And so we open it, and like you're supposed to put like, what's the sauce? Was it salt?
Yeah, salt.
Salt. So like you kind of crack it, like you know how British people like do that little egg and like a little cup, and then like you put the little hole on the top, so you just like crack it.
Yeah.
And then you put the little salt, and then you're just supposed to like slurp the sauce that's still in there. And then take.
I'm trying to keep it together, y'all.
A little teaspoon, a little like teaspoon, and just eat it. And so Sean went first.
It was actually really difficult to like get through the egg, but it's like the flavor of it was good.
Yeah, I will say that.
When I got to the actual embryo I don't know if you want to call it a duck. I don't know if you want to call it, whatever. But
Baby
when I
duck.
got to it, it looked too alive. So I didn't actually eat that. I
Yeah.
just like had the liquid around it, and I was like, I'm good.
Yes. So the flavor is nice. Like
Yeah.
it tastes like a boiled egg, like it with
Yeah.
some salt. Like it tastes really good. The liquid, even like the egg, the part that's still the egg. But then it's just getting over the mind of the fact that it's this duck, and we're not even like vegetarians or vegans. Like we ate camel, but
Right.
like something or like I just couldn't. So our tour guide was like, "Oh, I'll eat it."
Oh, you just remind me of that camel burger.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was
Yeah,
good.
so where did you have that?
That was Morocco.
Yeah.
Morocco.
Morocco.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had camel burger in Cairo.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It was good though.
We got to go to Cairo.
Yeah.
And then right after that, we had bugs. We had bugs before in Thailand.
It's good protein and it's deep fried. So yeah, you encountered that in Thailand.
Okay, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Okay, I had some boundaries. So they had frog. I love frog legs. So it was like frog. It was crispy like a chip. That was fine. They had crickets. Like that's whatever. But then they had was it beetles?
Yeah, it
They
was a
had
beetle.
beetles. And I'm like, well, that's a water bug. He's like, no, it's not. It's a beetle. I'm like, it's a water
Yeah,
bug.
and there's a whole procedure for removing the stinger so that you don't eat that part.
And
And
he ate
then
it.
and then I ate it, and I don't want to gross you guys out, but
Yeah.
it burst inside my mouth, and it was like sweet, and it weirded me out. So I did not want that. I did not enjoy that. That might be my least favorite thing.
But it's like we try it, right? Because there's things that is considered normal here in the US that I can't I can't stand. Like I hate peanut butter. So like I'm gonna go someplace and be like, I don't like something, but I never even tried it. So I'm gonna try it once.
Yeah.
Maybe twice because it may be a different preparation, because that's another thing. Like sometimes things are prepared different and taste better.
Yeah.
But there's just some things I won't ever.
Yeah, I mean,
Like I knew it was gonna burst, so I was like, I can't eat that.
yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
The larva was fine. The larva was no big deal. Because it's just deep fried to the point where it's just like salty. And it's like
Yeah. So
Um,
what's your favorite?
I go back and forth. I'm like, I love the Japanese curry, but that's like an everyday thing that you can do in Japan. So that's pretty okay. The banh mi is definitely up high there. And I don't want to say I've had all sorts of jerk chicken and like like Caribbean food. So I can't.
Wait. We had, what was it? Was it in Grenada? Remember when we went on that food tour and it was that plate of food? What was that?
Oh yeah. Palau.
Palau.
Yeah. Oh, that
I had never had palau before.
Oh, I'm getting hungry just thinking about palau. But I think like fish cakes is consistently for me, even as like a West Indian, and it like gets kind of played out because you can have it all the time. But I love fish cakes, especially aunties. Aunties is the best.
He's talking about his aunt.
My own auntie. Nobody else.
Listen, that's the best. It's usually the one that's made at home with the because Vietnamese. I'm from St. Croix, so I am totally Caribbean. You
haven't been there yet.
Yeah, that's on the list.
Mm-hmm.
we got a lot of Caribbean left to explore.
Yeah.
What do we have so far? St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, the Bahamas,
Together, Jamaica.
Yeah.
I've been to a few more than you.
We didn't make a video about Jamaica, did we?
No.
So you guys, because we're leaving for St. Lucia next week, actually. So.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, my family's from St. Lucia.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
That's one of our favorites.
Yeah.
That's like top.
No, we got married in St. Lucia.
Top two. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
St. Lucia is the number one honeymoon destination, wedding destination. So
everybody who came to our wedding was like, this is the best place in the whole world.
Yeah. There's a hospitality there that just is like, again, pretty much like unrivaled. And there's a beauty to everywhere that you go in St. Lucia. So like, I don't want to overhype it for you, but it's amazing. I know, but
I don't overhype it all the time. Like I've been there, quite a few times. This will be his first time, so I gotta.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. So I want to ask you about how you we know how you travel and you have 9 to 5 and you travel, you take your vacation and all of that. But as far as inspiring people or reaching out to people or creating a YouTube channel or anything, what do you want people to get from your travel, from your YouTube channel?
I think that we can help kind of remove some of the fear. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, granted, fear is healthy, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps you kind of make decisions. But I think that if you're working a full-time job, you shouldn't be afraid to try travel
Mm-hmm.
within your means, right? You shouldn't be afraid to eat something new or, meet new people or like go on this crazy jet ski ride and like, try something new or hike up a mountain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the spirit of trying things and, you know, you only it's corny, but you only live once, and
Mm-hmm.
there's there's a lot to see in the world, and we still have only seen a tiny little bit of it, and that kind of excites us to see more.
Yeah.
So I think everybody should learn and grow from traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say sometimes you got to go by yourself. Um, and that's part of the fear too. Like, I tell people, like, people always like, "Oh, you're gonna go by yourself," or you're. I'm like, "But I want to go." And like, "Don't you want to go?" And they're like, "Yes." And so you're not gonna go because you don't have one person to go with you. Like
Hmm.
that's very restrictive. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not always gonna have somebody all the time. And it's you have to learn to also be okay with like being by yourself. I think that's a very important quality, whether that is like living by yourself, like getting on a plane by yourself, like just walking around. And I, when people ask me, I always say start small, like go a town over, like do a staycation, go drive an hour if like you have a car. New York, like go to Long Island, go to Jersey, like start off small so you can realize that one, you can do it, and then two, is not as scary as it seems. I would also say that I think there's a lot of because I felt this pressure too that like I couldn't travel and work, right? There's a lot of especially like on YouTube, like posting on YouTube or social media, people are like nomads, or they're entrepreneurs, or they like and that's how they're able to like travel for long periods of time because they don't have a traditional job. But it's definitely you're definitely able to do it, even if like we have a more like average job and not like we don't work in the service industry where you don't have any PTO, you barely have health insurance. I think that one thing I would say, like remote work has taken off, and I don't in some industries I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So there's a lot of space to grow into that and find a job where you can do both. And it may not be now. You may have to like figure out what that would look like for you. But it's definitely like it's definitely something that people could do.
It's all attainable.
Yeah, you have to like yeah, it's like what does that mean for you? Like you don't have to go to Thailand. I think that's the other thing too. Like maybe you just want to visit all 50 states. Maybe you just want to get out of your neighborhood. Like I think there's a lot of pressure of like, oh well, because I don't want to take a 23-hour flight, then I'm not really traveling. But that's not true. That's not true as well. So
Yeah,
make what travel means to you.
yeah. I definitely lived in that. Oh
Now,
yeah.
what's
Sorry, go ahead.
your most like memorable experiences? Because to me, traveling is creating these memories, is going in so you have something to remember, something to hold, you know. So what's one of your most memorable experiences that you can share with us?
Do you want to bring up El Salvador?
Okay, so something I will always remember, and it was recent, but I will always remember this. So we went on a group trip for Sean's birthday in March and to El Salvador, and we wanted to hike a volcano, Santa Ana volcano. And so I was like, okay, you guys want to do that? That's fine. I wanted to go ziplining, but we'll go hike this volcano.
Yeah, you've been ziplining one place, you've been ziplining everywhere.
Yeah. And I've never hiked a volcano. So I was like, okay. Sean's coworker has hiked a volcano. I think he's like 60 years old or something. He said, oh, it only takes 45 minutes. Our driver told us it only takes an hour and a half. Other people told us, oh, yeah, you'll be fine. It takes an hour. Like, whatever. It took us, I want to say, like 5 hours to hike that damn volcano. Like, they talk about, like, CP time, but they have El Salvador time. Every time we got to the point, oh, it's only 5 more minutes. It's
Yeah.
10 more minutes.
Yeah.
It's only, and I was like, you all, at some point, I was like, you all are liars. Like, I've been on this volcano for 3 hours. I'm ready to go home. Like,
Yeah. And we started theorizing, like, maybe they took a car halfway up. Maybe you know, was our experience different? Did we start from, like, outside of the volcano?
yeah, I was
Like,
like, we're like, and so to the point where, so, talking about kindness of strangers, this man gave me his stick. Like, he had this really nice, like, wooden walking stick because I was struggling. And so I got that. And then at some point I was like, I quit. Like, I'm not leave me right here on the side of this volcano. You can keep going. You and your friends can keep going. Come get me on the way back. And I quit.
When you're on coming down this hill, yeah.
Quit because I was like, I like, we still have a few more days of this trip. I know I'm already going to be sore. Thankfully, we had already booked massages for the next day. And so I sat there. Thankfully, the ice. So there's a man. This is another thing. Like, some people will humble you. This man had carried a backpack full of ice and ice cream up this volcano, and he sells it at the top of the volcano. And then he walks back down. So he saw me on the way back down. I was like, can I have some ice cream? So I sat there with my ice. It was the best thing ever. And waited for them to come back down. And then we hiked back down the volcano. And I brought home my walking stick. So it's my souvenir from El Salvador. I checked it. The man looked at me like something was wrong with me.
we should have recorded the process of, like, handing this man the stick and him looking at us like, really?
Yeah.
Like, are you serious? And we're like, has this ever happened to you before? And he's like, no.
Yeah. But I will always remember. Like, it was a joke. Like, the joke of the trip was 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Like, and so I will always remember that.
Yeah. El Salvador's a great place.
It is.
Man.
And
So
it's one of those countries where when I told people we were going there, why would you go there? Isn't it dangerous?
Yeah.
And that is such, like, it gives, when people say that to me, it gives me such a inside, because I'm like, why do you think it's dangerous? And they never have a response. It's always something like, oh, I saw the news, or I saw this. What did you see? Tell me, like quote to me what you saw. I don't know. Okay, so why are you calling a place dangerous, that one you've never been to, and you truly don't know anything about the place? And, like, El Salvador is one of those countries that have, like, they have turned themselves around, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, they have become they're slowly becoming a tourist destination, and, like, safe, and, like, all these other things.
Yeah. And I mean, you do your research too when you go to these places, because there are some countries, a few countries in the world, that are legitimately dangerous to go to.
Yeah.
And we have a short list of places that we can't go. But yeah, we try.
Yeah. For people listening, and, like, for affordability, and what are the top 3 places, like, suggestions you would suggest for people that's, all right, this is my first time going out the country, I want to go, and it's affordable, and I work, and what's more, effective?
That's a great question.
Where do they want to go? Where should they go?
Okay, what do you tell people when people ask you?
Japan.
Where should they go?
Yeah.
I like to. It depends on the person too, like their own personal preference. I've been shouting from the rooftops that Grenada is one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been to. It's right up there with St. Lucia. I love Grenada, like, and it has nothing to do with the fact that it's actually our best performing series on our channel, but it was legitimately a great time. I think people could see the vibes of us being so happy.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were ups and downs, but, like, the people in Grenada are so nice. And I mean, that's like, I say that about a lot of places, but in a lot of countries, you might get people who are trying to take advantage of tourists. They come up to you on the beaches and they're trying to sell you this and that. And that's the way of, like, supporting their family. But people in Grenada don't really care about that. They don't bother tourists to that degree. It's not like they're trying to take advantage of you. They're just really nice. And we had a great relationship with this man who took us on a boat tour in Carriacou. Yeah. And he was the nicest man. He fed us on the boat. I don't think he had to do that. He took us from island to island, whatever we wanted to do, he was down for it. Somehow Christina didn't get seasick. It was a miracle. So
yeah. It was a little like dinghy type of boat.
Yeah. So we just had a great time.
Yeah.
And the rum punches helped, but we just overall, yeah, that was the real.
So that's what you tell people?
I would, yeah. So
I was gonna say Japan. No, well, they did say affordable. They did say affordable.
Yeah. Because Grenada is attainable. And it's not super expensive. It's very reasonable. It's much more reasonable than I would say even Barbados. I mean, I'm sorry, my people, but
I mean,
right now,
even Bajans say that Barbados is expensive.
Yeah.
Now, so, but
so that's a good entry point.
Okay. Okay. I would say.
You're going south?
I'm going El Salvador.
Yeah.
I'm going El Salvador. It's a short flight. It's very affordable. You can go, it's a small country, so you can see the whole country in a few days. If you are ambitious and you are a mover, it has a beach, it has a city, it has volcanoes, it has adventure, zip lining, the rainbow side that everybody loves. It has delicious food. It has unique. We tried iguana for the first time in El Salvador. People love arepas. So I think El Salvador is a great.
Pupusas.
I'm sorry, I said arepas.
Yeah,
that's the wrong country.
I had to marinate on it for 1 second.
That's what I'll be. Pupusas, which is delicious. We rented a house, which was very affordable, that came with a wonderful chef who taught us how to make pupusas.
Amazing.
And so, I think that's a great place for solo travel as well as group travel. And
we did both.
And we did both.
Yeah, we did.
So when the group left, we stayed for an extra day. Rented a car and did a few extra things as well. And so I would say, and then another one. Then I have to say Thailand, because for those who are willing to go far, just go to sleep on the flight. And I say this to someone who, this is going to surprise people, but I hate flying. I absolutely despise flying. I have to have a whole routine in order to be comfortable. I get motion sickness. So if the plane does a little drop, I'm holding on for dear life. I hate it, but I can't. I don't let that stop me from going places and experiencing things. So I would say Thailand is a great introductory international location for people who haven't traveled that much, because especially if you speak English, you're from an English speaking country, you can get around perfectly fine. Google Maps works. If you don't have Apple Maps works. The conversion is great.
The prices in Thailand are
Thailand are great.
Up to date.
Yeah, you can even if you don't want to do a bus or a train, you could just fly from city to city, and it's not that expensive as well. So I always recommend Thailand. It's another country, right? Go to the beach. You want to be a beach? You love the beach? Go to the beach. You want to be in the country? Go up to Chiang Mai. You want to there's a lot of places for you.
Yeah.
That would be my
honorable mention Vietnam. It's practically the same story, right? So in general.
Yeah.
And I hope that as we travel more, I'll be able to recommend other countries that other people could check out. We're actually going on a cruise around the southern tip of Africa next year to visit some more South Africa, Madagascar, to visit some African countries. So,
So you're just checking all countries. That's how to do it.
Yeah. Well, life is short.
For the last thing, for people that are scared to travel, haven't traveled yet, but maybe watching this and want to, what would you say to them, and how has traveling changed your life, if it has changed your life? The before traveling, post travel.
For me, um, for people who want to travel and haven't traveled yet, like I said, or like start small, right? Go someplace. Like if you've never left your city, go to another
Hmm.
city. If you've never left your state, go to another state. Like if you're in New York, you've only been to New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, go to Charleston. People love Charleston, South Carolina. Like go to
Hmm.
Savannah, Georgia, go to California. Like start a little bit closer to home so you can know what that feels like, and also like especially if you've never been on a plane. Because there are still people who've never been on planes, and I think we forget that as well. We think like,
Right.
oh, everyone has done X, Y, and Z, but that's not true. So I would say start
Hmm.
small. And plan, but don't overplan. Like I'm guilty of this. I want to like because we travel, on like on vacation, pay time off. I want to fit in a lot in a little bit of time, and I never get it all accomplished. And so then when we get there, we have to like pick and choose. So like choose one or two things you want to see, and then just go with the flow for the rest. You never know what you'll run into. Like there'll be random festivals, whether that's food or music, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do this instead. So that's what I would recommend for newbies. And then I would say for me, traveled traveling has shown me how I'm just a small part of the world. Like there's just I think especially with the age, I started traveling extensively in my 20s, and I think in your 20s you just think like, oh my god, I'm doing this big thing, and I'm gonna like everyone's gonna like I'd be like think I'm amazing and like all this other stuff, but like then you get there and you're just like, oh, there's so many other travelers, and like there's so many like different things, and it also like it makes you adapt. Like I'm more adaptable. Like I I'm more adaptable to change, more adaptable to things not going correctly too, right? Like things not going my way. And
Right.
that like another thing that it's hard to say today, but I still do believe this, that like most people are kind people, right? Like most people are just trying to live their life, get by, do what they need to do, and are interested in you with no ulterior motives. Most like and but then it's hard because you just see stories of like the worst of the worst. And but when you travel and you meet people, you realize like, oh, you're so nice, like thank you, and like all this other stuff, and like they just want to practice English, and they just which is just curious. It's just about curiosity, because we also have to realize when we're going to like Southeast Asian countries, for example, they're monolith, and I think that we don't realize that when we go there, because we live in a country that is so diverse,
Right.
and so it can be shocking as well to people when you go from one to the other. Obviously, there's like pockets of this country that's not diverse at all, and everyone is a monolith. But being from New York, which is very diverse, and you go someplace, you're like, oh, I'm the different, I'm the other, and how does that work?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I want to inspire other Black people to travel, right? I think that's part of the journey. We're part of a couple of small Black travel groups, but it's there's a lot of like again sort of like fear and like a stigma that sometimes people maybe wouldn't be accepting of Black people, and maybe they have some prejudices, and there are some of that, but mostly there's a curiosity and like a fascination when it when it comes to us. Like people in Thailand approach her like she like she's like some sort of celebrity, like she's Beyonce. But
Right.
Well, tell my Lizzo.
but travel doesn't have to be something that is exclusive to just like these high level, people, or just exclusive to certain races and certain. No,
Yeah.
it's like anybody can travel. And I mean, I think we also do it because we love it, right? And we do it because, I mean, her much more so than me, but we make YouTube videos as kind of a way to remember things because life is short and also a lot of things happen and we want to look back and
we
look
do
at
watch them. We do rewatch them.
Yeah. So even if we only had like one viewer, you know, we'd still be making YouTube videos so that we can kind of have this time capsule of our life and the things that we do. So yeah, I mean, we want to be an inspiration and we want to hopefully get more Black people, you know, motivated to go and try new things.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I agree with that. And I also, to piggyback and to add to that, like being able to for people to see that I travel solo as a woman and as a Black woman is also important. I think there's a fear with that as well around like safety, which is legitimate, and how like when you may be approached. But of all the countries that I've been to, the only one the bad thing that happened was in Argentina, and like I've met and
you wouldn't say don't go there.
No, I would never.
Yeah,
that's one thing about me. I'm never gonna tell someone not to go someplace because I think like everyone has their own experiences and things happen because it's Tuesday on April.
Right.
Like and so I definitely I never tell people never to go anywhere unless it's like if you get off the plane you'll die. Like like you literally are not supposed to. It's a warned for like do not go like that. But even then, listen, you're an adult. If you choose to go there, that's your business. If they let you in, then okay.
Explore, right?
And I do know, like a lot of the comments I receive around like, oh, you travel solo. I know it's because I'm a woman and they think this is a safety thing, and I do feel like we also naturally when we travel we have our guards up a little bit more versus when you're at home, and we do know like a lot of things, a lot of instances that happen are typically with people who know you, even though like the media tries to make it seem like it's a person in the bush. And so outside of like extreme circumstances, it's okay, and just let someone know where you are, put a tracker on your phone, like things like that as well. Make sure you save things offline in case your phone doesn't work.
You're right. Keep in contact with people for that.
Yeah, like small things that you could do, and like telling I stay in hostels when I'm solo. I get a private room and I stay in hostels, and I meet like in that way you can also meet people and travel as a group as well. And then you get your privacy because you have your own room. So I would definitely say that as well. Like it's okay to travel solo as a woman, and you'll I don't want to say you'll be okay because I think that's
so it has been talking to you guys and all your information, all your travels. You guys are inspiring, and you go everywhere, and you have your 9 to 5, you work, you do this intentionally, and people will see you and know that, you know what, I can do this too. So people need to go check out your channel, Roaming the World with You. They have a website that has blogs of where they've been to. They're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all the social media. We'll have all their links at the bottom, but definitely go check them out. They have a ton of videos. You can see what they've done, where they've been, and get inspired. But thank you so guys for joining us tonight. It's been amazing hearing your journey. All right, so you guys take care and have a great night. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. And remember to hit that subscribe button, like, and share this video to inspire others to experience the world of travel. Remember, every journey is a tale to unfold and a memory to hold. See you in the next video.